Hello, everybody. Thomas Fleming here. Well, I'm recording this on my laptop so I can publish this up on Rumble. It seems like I can do YouTube on my phone and Rumble on this because I can't upload a large file from my phone on the Rumble app. That's okay. I may eventually start doing all my videos on my laptop. I used to, in the beginning when I started this, I used my computer or my laptop. I had my studio camera when I was in a building, had good lighting. I don't have good lighting today. I'm using what's natural light, and it's overcast. You saw the rain that we were having, and I've got a little picture at the end to show you how much rain we got. I couldn't go to my normal pavilion. I'm in a different one now, trying to stay dry because the other one was flooded. This was on the top of a hill, and it won't be flooded. Okay, you have to adapt, and that's the key to this day and age. You have to be able to adapt to whatever's going on. There's a little bit of a wind, so I got to watch my paper. But what's coming up now, we've got things that are building. We're getting to a point where things are going to have to move. I've talked about we've been moving the chessboard, and you can only go so far and set up the middle and take over territory. And eventually you've got to attack. Well, we're getting to that point. Israel's getting boxed into a corner. Iran is still enriching uranium. Now, they may have already got enough to do a bomb or two. They're not really being very talkative about it. And Russia may have also helped them out as well. They may be trading back and forth that we don't know what they're trading. So they may already have a bomb. But in any case, they've estimated that they had a week or two before they'd have enough 90% enrichment to build more bombs if they don't already have one. And they've said that as soon as they get enough uranium, they're going to attack Israel. They want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And this radical group of Islam believe that as soon as they start World War III, they're anxious to start it. That God's going to come in, that Jesus is going to come back and help them and lead the attack, and they're going to win the war, and they're going to take over the world. That's their belief. That's why they're so adamant about doing what they're doing. They believe that. That's a false narrative. And they're going to welcome in the Antichrist when he gets here because they think that's going to be the final piece to the puzzle that they need. So anyhow, Israel has promised to attack and take out the nuclear capability. The previous administration, they were in bed with the Muslims. They were not going to do anything. In fact, they gave some of the stuff away that should never have been given away. But Netanyahu's back, and we know he's a hawk. He's not going to put up with this stuff. The problem is as soon as they attack, the proxies are going to come in. And they've been stockpiling. They've been working on getting stuff in there all this time. We know that, Hamas is in the south has launched, I think it was 4,000 missiles that one time. And those were just their bottle rockets, if you will. You just light them and they go off in a direction and you hope they hit someplace. But they've been moving in guided missiles and drones into a lot of these places. Syria, they've been moving stuff into, using the disguise of, we're sending relief to Turkey, but they're lying through their teeth because they're not sending relief to Turkey. They're sending advanced weaponry into Syria and maybe even Lebanon. I don't know why this thing can't figure out how to get the lighting right. Nothing's changing. Come on, computer, work with me. I've got a filter on it. Maybe the filter's messing up. I try to put a filter on that would increase it. Let me see if I can. Doesn't seem to matter. But there's nothing changing around me, so I don't understand. Okay. Anyhow, sorry that it keeps doing this. I really need to get, if I get my son here to help me out, he can help me to set up lighting or reflectors or whatever it takes to do this. It's hard to do by yourself. All right, so Israel is probably getting in the final stages of preparing for their attack. But Hamas has missiles, Lebanon has missiles, Syria has missiles, Jordan has missiles. You can even go down south of Saudi Arabia, who's not going to be involved, but go down to Sudan or other countries have missiles. And when they all start launching, the likelihood of being able to stop all of them is not very good. And especially since they've got these new hypersonic and the new precision guided missiles. It's going to be a destruction in Israel, but it won't be a total destruction because God says you're not going to be able to destroy it. And more than likely, Israel is going to be pushed into the corner. When you push somebody into the corner, they pull out their claws and they will probably nuke at least one city, maybe two, maybe three. And if they do, it's going to be a warning to back away. And I think that may be the final warning until Armageddon, to back away. They're going to need someone to come in and broker peace now after all this. Enter the white horse on this first seal. Okay, so what's going to happen? Well, if Israel attacks, this wind is just blowing my paper around. It comes and goes. It goes from 0 to nothing. I'm going to try to get into, we're going to do Psalm 83, Jeremiah 49, Isaiah 17. We're going to look at those. Now, God promised a lot more land to Israel than what it's got. When they became a country in 48, they did not have Jerusalem. And the countries around it didn't like it, and they tried to attack, and it didn't do any good. Israel put them back. God protects them. Then they attacked in 67 for the 6-day war. They got Jerusalem. Now, they give control back to Jordan, which they shouldn't have done, but that's land for peace. It doesn't work, but they keep trying it. Stop it, people. That doesn't work. That's Genesis 12, I think it is. So anyhow, when they attack, they're going to be attacked. To defend themselves, the first city that's going to probably be hit is Damascus. It's close, and they're probably going to nuke it because it says Damascus will be wiped out and uninhabitable. It sounds like a nuclear war, nuclear bomb. Another city that would be a possible attack would be Amman, Jordan. That's also very close, not too far across the border. And they could take that one out with a nuke. And that would give them the land that they're supposed to have up to the river there. A third possibility is Edom, which is on the west coast of Iran on the Persian Gulf. That one's also going to be laid waste. So we got 3 cities that it talks about being attacked, and we're going to see that in these scriptures. So when this war starts, it's basically going to trigger a massive fight. And there will probably be some damage in Israel and probably some deaths. The people have bomb shelters to get into. They know they're in a hotbed. And so there's probably going to be an announcement at some point in time to get there. The catch is the timing. They have to be able to get in and do the attack. But at what point are they going to start launching missiles from around them? And at what point is Israel going to launch their nukes? I thought Russia might be the first one to do their nukes in Ukraine, but so far they've held off. But if you tell basically Israel, we're going to wipe you off the face of the earth, Israel has the right to use whatever power they've got. Now, ultimately, for the Magog war, God's going to have to step in because Israel won't be able to stop it. So is that going to be before or after? More than likely, the Antichrist is going to come in and promise them peace if they disarm. That's the key. If they disarm, they get the peace. So that's the Antichrist giving them the, quote, 7-year peace, which is a lie, but the world will buy it. The Christians will be gone. So we would recognize the Antichrist and recognize the failure of the world to do what they're supposed to do. So we're going to be gone. But when he comes in, brokers the peace, Israel disarms itself. Now they don't have the ability with the nukes to be able to defend themselves. So that's when God will have to. But we don't know when the Magog War is. It doesn't say. It's not going to be right up front, probably, because there's a lot of damage that gets done in that. So there's most likely either at the end or towards the end. That's my guess. I was listening to somebody talk about the two witnesses. Traditionally, we've expected them to be in the beginning, but he had good argument for them being in the second half, along with 144,000. If that's the case, then there's all that's really coming out is this little war with Israel, and the possibility of them using nukes is the next thing. Are we going to be gone before or after that? I don't know. But after that, it would be a good time for the Antichrist to come in and broker peace. So at that point, we would be gone. So talking about the things that are coming up, I want to go to Psalm 83. Okay, 83:1. It is a song, and they always start off with, "Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee and have lifted up the head, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And they have consulted together with one consent, that they confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, as I said over there on Iran, and the Ishmaelites, and Moab of the Hagarenes, and Gebal and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, and the inhabitants of Tyre. All these countries are kind of working together. This is basically the countries I just talked about that are surrounding Israel. So if Israel attacks, they're going to attack. And then Israel's going to have to respond. And this is in Psalm 83. Now I want to turn to Jeremiah 49, near the end of it. Okay, concerning the Ammonites, thus saith the Lord, has Israel no sons, hath he no heir? Why then does the king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in these cities? Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in the Rabbah of the Ammonites, and it shall be a desolate heap, and her daughter shall be burned with fire, and Israel shall be heir unto them. That was his heirs, saith the Lord. And we talk about where are we going down to here, 49:7, concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring calamity to Esau, or calamity of Esau upon him. Remember, Esau's Abraham's illegitimate son, essentially, and basically the father of the Muslims. So there's going to be war. They're going to be fighting. And we see Edom again. And we see Ammon. And then Isaiah 17:1, the burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and that shall be a ruinous heap. we can continue on, but basically it's pretty much the same as the other ones. These cities are all talked about as being destroyed. This seems to be the next on the timeline, only because Iran says they are this close to making a bomb, and they've said repeatedly, as soon as we have a nuclear weapon, we're going to use it. They've said it repeatedly. Now, if they didn't mean it, they shouldn't have said it, but that's what they've said. So as soon as they get it and they're going to use it, Israel has no choice but to fight back. They have the right to exist and defend themselves. And when they do, the whole Middle East is going to go into uproar. And Israel runs the risk of being completely wiped off the face of the earth. And the only defense that they've got is to use their nukes. So don't be afraid. This is all talked about in the Bible. God knows about it. This is all the stuff that has to be done to set up the entry of the Antichrist. And our exit will be in there somewhere. It's probably going to be towards the end of the warring. If it was in the beginning, if we all disappeared all at once in the beginning, that would be such a distraction to the world, it would probably postpone any attack. And that may, in fact, be what happens, is we could be raptured any time, in which case this war never happens in the beginning. It happens later on, after we're gone. But my guess is it's probably going to happen, and we might be raptured somewhere towards the end of it. And then that way we probably wouldn't be noticed as much. Because they don't want the whole world to go, oh, wow, the whole world was raptured. The Bible must be right. We better fear and worry about the Antichrist. He doesn't want that much attention. So if we kind of blend in, that would be okay. And with the war stuff going on, we could easily blend in. And more than likely, there'd probably be some attacks other places. China might decide that Taiwan is a good target during that because they're going to be preoccupied. North Korea may decide to launch some attacks on South Korea and or the US during that because, chaos. When there's chaos, you can get out there and do your own damage. So it's possible that a lot of that could happen. But again, don't worry. Jesus talked about these times in his Olivet Discourse. And he's basically quoting so much of what he's talking about from Daniel. He's not talking about the rapture, though. Jesus is not talking about the rapture. They don't want to know about the rapture. These are the Jews. They want him to come back as the Lion of Judah and take over and destroy Rome and take care over all that. Well, we know that doesn't happen, that Rome, in fact, destroys Israel in their future. They don't know about it yet because they don't understand what he's telling them. But he's basically quoting, in fact, I think it's in 25, Matthew 25, he quotes Daniel. Daniel is his most quoted prophet. He likes Daniel. So he's basically affirming him that he's a prophet, and he's quoting his prophecy. So Daniel would be a good one to read if you just want to read prophecy. Now, a lot of it's covered in Matthew, it's covered in Revelation, but you could read it there. Daniel 9 would be a good place to start if you don't want to go all the way back to the beginning. And again, he sees little vignettes, little visions, just like they do in Revelation. Prophecy is like that. You see a vision, and then it ends, and then that's it. It may or may not be connected to another vision. Okay. So expect things to pick up very, very soon, because they said days. I think they said 12 days, 8 days ago. So if they haven't enriched to 90% by now, they're going to reach that within the next week. I would expect Israel to attack within the next week. He's been meeting with people. He met with some people from Iran and basically told them, Our war is not with you. Our war is with the mullahs, who have it bent into their heart. They've been twisted by the demons to want to destroy Israel. They have no other existence in life other than to destroy Israel. And everything they do is for that purpose. That's Satan. That's perfectly Satan. Islam is a clone of Christianity anyway. It's Satan's attempt to try to match God. And everything comes short of what God would do. It comes short of Jesus. Muhammad is their version of Jesus. It's just, we know that, but they can't see it because they're blinded by their hatred. So God's going to deal with it. But it's getting ready, everything is getting ready to happen. But where the rapture is in that, I don't know. My guess is the rapture is towards the end of the fighting, or during the fighting sometime, when it may be at a peak, some place where we won't be noticed as much. So be ready. Have your lamps filled. Have your tracts scattered around for your family that's not accepting Christ right now. Be ready, though. I'm hoping I can get my son back home before this happens to visit him before we leave, but one way or the other, we'll be together shortly. In case we're still here in a few months, see if you can contribute to my Starlink fundraiser. I've gone ahead and ordered it, so it's going to take a little while. We're probably looking at 2 or 3 weeks to get here, but I need it. I can't do this ministry without it. I've been burning up a lot of gas driving into town trying to find cell signal. I've gotten ahead by 2 videos, so I've got some time now, so I can try uploading this when I'm done. But I got to upload to both Rumble and to YouTube. And because of that, I just can't do it where they don't have signal. I don't have enough signal in my campsite to do that. So I have to drive into town sometimes. And it's an hour drive, a half hour in, half hour back. And that uses gas. So one way or the other, I'm paying the same price I'd be paying if I was paying for Starlink over time. And if I only get to use it for a month, that's great. If I get to use it for the rest of the year, that's great. It's a big tool that will help. Okay, I think I've got this covered well enough. Just be aware that it is getting ready to really break over in Israel. They don't want to do it because they know what's going to happen. As soon as they start the fight, they're going to have missiles coming from 3 or 4 different directions. Iron Dome will get most of them, but there will be a few get through. And they've been launching their guided missiles to prove that they have them. And they got some from Russia. They've been working on their own. They've been sending parts into Syria. And they've been trying to, destroy their manufacturing in Syria and do all things. But it's like, it's like the drugs when they try to keep them out of the country. They get maybe 10%. The rest get through because everybody around them is helping them. Okay. Be safe. Be praying. Stay. Pray without ceasing. Pray for me and others that are trying to get the message out. And help if you can. There's other ways to help, and I put them in the description. And don't forget my son. He's not back yet, so he's still working there. So if you can help him with a little contribution before he gets back, he's not coming back for a couple of weeks yet, towards the end of the month. If he comes back then. If things start breaking, he might stay there because everything might shut down. If a war breaks out like that, they might shut down transportation around the world. Sort of like our 9/11 that shut everything down. But don't be afraid. God's got it well in hand. Nothing's happening that he's not directly involved in. Till we meet in the clouds, God bless.